This is my camping setup for bike packing through Mexico for 2 weeks.
Today I'll be walking you through my camping setup on a bike packing trip for 2 weeks through Mexico. What I did right, what I did wrong, what I wish I had. I'm gonna go through everything and hopefully it helps you on your bike packing trip. To start, you'll want to make sure you assess how much room you'll have to pack. Some guys like being lightweight, some guys don't mind the weight and having extra comfort. I have 3 bags on my bike, 2 hard panniers and a hard case here. My camping setup only takes up one of those panniers. So I'll be walking you through exactly what's in there and some tips and tricks. For one most important piece, and the one I used a lot, this guy right here. Now, man, this thing is comfortable. I'll tell you now, especially on a bike packing trip, your back is gonna hurt at the end of the day. Whether you're off-roading or just smooth highway miles, your back is gonna hurt. And a good camping chair that you can just put your feet up, rest your back, man, it makes a world of difference. Now my buddy, he brought one of those little 3-prong little platforms that you sit your butt on. And I'll tell you what, we were fighting over this chair right here. Sierra Designs, foldable. The space it takes up in my bags, well worth it. This chair, anytime we stop, pull up the chair, just set it up under a minute, just kick your feet up. On the beach, this chair was a lifesaver. Even when I would break down, have to do a flat tire, this chair was the first thing to come out. It'll be comfortable. You don't want to be sitting on one of those little baby platform chairs all fucked in the spine, so this thing was huge. The next most important piece of gear in your pack is a tent, or in my case, a bivy. Bivy is great. It's really small. You don't get a lot of room in there for your stuff, but if you're just looking for lightweight, packable place to stay, it works perfectly. This is REI's super light trail bivy. It is 1.5 pounds. Super light. Packs down into a small little... A lot of people like having room in a tent to set up your food or put away some stuff. I just want a place to sleep. So this thing, I call it a coffin because you're in there and you're just straight. There's no room. You can maybe put a small side bag or backpack in there with you. But with me being so tall, I take up the whole 87 inches. So either you want a bigger space to hang out or you don't mind sitting outside and then just using this for sleep. So I do recommend a little bivy. It was great in the sun. It was great in the wet coastalness. The ventilation's not great, but it has a main door and then it has a zip, like mesh door. So I'd usually just leave the main door all the way closed and then just use the mesh door. And even in the mornings when it was getting hot, I'd unzip the mesh and just stick my head out. It's fine. It really was not a problem. The only thing I would say with a bivy is make sure, and I messed up, I didn't bring this, make sure you have good ground cover, like a tarp or some sort of camping canopy that you can put underneath. Because when we would sleep on the beach, and in Baja there's a lot of sleeping on the beach, the wet ground would move its way up. And there were a couple nights I was waking up with drippings on my head and wet feet on my sleeping bag because the condensation inside is just coming straight through the ground. So there are also bivy covers you can get, but then it's kind of defeating the point. Just get a tent, you know what I mean? So I would definitely bring a tarp or some kind of base layer with this, just if you're going to be camping in wet areas. Otherwise, great little lightweight sleeper. The next piece in the gear, go with this guy. This is a foam pad. It doesn't fit in my bag, so I just have it strapped up top. Now, the foam pad doesn't really help with comfort because I'll show you in a minute what I do. The foam pad is an underlayer. So in your bivy, you have your foam pad and then you have your sleeping pad. I use the air inflate sleeping pads and man, those pop like crazy. You sleep on a thorny, needly ground, you're gonna pop your sleeping pad. So this, as an underlayer, rolled out, ensures that your sleeping pad won't pop. So definitely do recommend bringing some sort of foam yoga pad, something like that, just to put under your actual air mattress. Also, this grips the bottom of my bivy very well. When my sleeping pad is just on the floor of the bivy, it's moving around and shaking around. This kind of grips everything and holds it in place. I really liked bringing a foam pad. I usually don't. I usually just go straight air mattress bivy, but I've popped too many. Especially in Baja, when you're camping in the desert, there's thorny shit everywhere. Big thorns, cactuses, the trees are thorny, everything is out to get you. So having one of these, make sure you don't pop your important layer, which I'll bring up next. This is my stuff sack. In here is my sleeping bag, my pillow, and my air mattress. This is less than 4 pounds. So lightweight, not a lot of room in your pack. It holds pretty much everything I need to sleep. Your sleeping pad, super crucial. Now, one thing I will say is I've popped so many of these, and I always have bought the nice ones, that I'd rather just buy the cheap ones if I'm gonna pop them all the time. So the foam pad helps you not pop them. Just in case you do pop them, you're not super invested in these because they're expensive. This one, the Climate brand, I think it's just Walmart for like 60 to 70 bucks. It comes with patches. So make sure before you go out for your camping, there's a little slot in here for patches. Make sure you have those patches because if you do end up popping it, you're gonna have a really shitty night's sleep if you don't patch that hoe. The next piece is also by Climate. It's this little inflatable pillow. It's about the size of a tennis ball if you kind of ball it up. Pretty small, very lightweight. You can also inflate it for firmer pillow or deflate it for a softer pillow. So great recommendation. Also Walmart brand. I think it was like 20, 30 bucks. Now, the sleeping bag is just personal choice, really. Especially through Mexico, you're not really getting a cold night. Maybe in the desert somewhat, but my bag is rated to 30 degrees. So it's a freezing cold bag, but I like sleeping a little warmer than usual. This one's a Mountain Thermic Micro hardware. I got this one on Facebook, and it's okay getting a used one as long as you know it's clean and not super torn up. I got this one because it's a tall person sleeping bag. Now I'm 6'3". A normal sleeping bag, it's gonna end up at my toes all the time. So this one being, I think it's 6'7" that this one sleeps. I have so much room in there, especially with the mummy bag. My head kind of tucked up in here and I put the pillow in there. It's great to have that extra room at your feet. So I do recommend getting something to your size. That's everything in there. And then the final piece of equipment would be your cookware. Now I have a little backpack with all my cooking stuff in it. I'll go through with you what's in here. All right, to start, we have our propane can. Now make sure you get a full one and make sure you get a tall one because these run out pretty quick, especially if you're making many camping meals. We did a lot of tacos and roadside food, so we didn't use all of it, but definitely make sure you have enough to go as long as your trip's gonna be. To go with the propane, just a little kind of jet boil type situation. I think I got this at REI for like 30 bucks. It comes in a kit. I like this one specifically because you can just put any pan on top and flip the little fins up. Now to go in the kit I got with that little boil come 2 pans, tall and a not so tall. These two work great. Boiling water, mac and cheese, spaghetti, pretty much anything you need to cook, you can cook in these two. And then the propane fits inside and you can close it like that. On top of those two, I have a set of thin aluminum pans. These work well for cooking meat and cooking things on a plate. I've got one with a lid so I can cook rice, vegetables, pretty much anything there. I have a little plate. I don't want to eat straight out of the bowl. I can serve on a little plate. And then this one, the handle extends and you can cook pretty much anything. This one's perfect size for tortillas. So if you're gonna be in Mexico, make sure you can cook a tortilla. You can't cook a tortilla on this, but you can on this bad boy. So there were a couple tortillas cooked on that one. I have some silverware, fork, spoon. You don't really need to bring 2, but just in case you lose or break one, you always need a second. So silverware is pretty important. I have a little towel or washcloth, and I have a half of a sponge. These are great because you need to wash dishes, obviously. I don't usually use soap. I just kind of rinse them out with water. That's a user's choice. You can bring a little bottle of soap. Final piece of my kit is a little bit of olive oil. Great for cooking pretty much anything. A lot of people bring salt or like a little thing of assorted spices. I would recommend that. But if you're cooking pre-made meals, you're not really seasoning a lot of stuff. It's only if you're cooking raw meat that's not seasoned. That's pretty much the whole kit that I used for camping. Everything I have here fits in the standard size Tusk box.